Yes, people, let's start the week right, and there's only one place to be. That's right here on Numbers Don't Lie, powered by Sofascore. Of course, I'm your boy, JayDee Dyer, and I love the international break. So many teams and countries creating incredible amounts of history, but it's opened up a wider discussion for us in the football world, and that's, is modern football become boring? Yeah, you heard me right, and I want you guys involved in the comments, whether that's tactics, discipline, or of course, just the modern athlete. Modern football has now entered a completely different type of conversation. But if we're gonna have a conversation, you know I need my running mate, my home dog, my right hand, Nico Cantor in the building. Look at that strong grip. Vibes are correct. So Nico, I'm going to throw this one to you straight away. Is modern football boring in your opinion?
Perhaps. It's become less individualistic and more about the system. It's this over-Guardiolization of football, if you will. And it's starting to correct itself a little bit now. It's the set-piece type of football that we're watching, right? The long throws. We'll see if we can prove if modern football is more boring. I tend to feel yes.
Here on Numbers Don't Lie, obviously it's usually me and Nico that open up the conversation, but what I love about this is we've opened it up to our teammates, the wider family, and of course the Champions League crew. So I'm interested to hear what Thierry Henry and Gareth Bale had to say on this incredible conversation.
You know, when you ask me who I will pay to watch current player, and I said, oh, that's tough. The last one, I said that obviously I would have paid to watch and play is Eden Hazard. That doesn't involve obviously Leo and Cristiano Ronaldo because they came before him. So I said the last one. Now Lamine Yamal and Michael Olise, if they carry on doing and Michael Olise carry on doing what he's doing right now, it's just a joy to watch because people are big on stats at the minute and what people do and assists and goals and whatnot, but how do you quantify what I'm going to do now is when people make me go at the edge of my seat and watch a game. How do you quantify that? You know, they bring a lot of stats, a lot of things. That's why I like Michael Olise makes me go and watch a game like this. I'm watching the game. Not on my phone, not talking to anyone. I'm watching the game. That's why I love him.
Do you have an answer to that question? A player you would pay to watch? Current player?
I think there's less and less these days.
You see?
It's difficult. I think back in the day, there was a lot more attacking players that would really, like I said, get you off your seat. At the moment, I feel like Mbappe and Vinicius, obviously at Real Madrid.
I know.
It's the main team I watch.
Lamine Yamal doesn't exist to you.
Kylian is up there. Kylian is way up there. We know that. Kylian, but that's why I'm saying the last one because his top is Eden. If we go back to the one that arrived, but the new one. Yeah, the new one. Kylian is not a new one now.
Yeah, I understand.
He's not, but he's current. I understand that. But no, those guys are special.
Oh yes, let's open up this conversation because Gareth and Thierry have set the plates and now me and Nico can really dive in. And I know they're not fans of numbers, Nico, but looking at the numbers, you can probably argue to say that the game is more attacking now.
Yeah, let's try to prove and disprove what they're saying. We're getting more goals as the Champions League seasons have gone on. I would argue it's because there's worse defending nowadays. The dribble attempts, trying to take players on, has stayed relatively the same, but that's overall attempts. And then key passes as well. So I don't know if these last two stats prove that the game has gotten less boring. It's kind of stayed the same, but we have to dive deeper into the numbers to perhaps get our answer, JayDee.
Yeah, I think when we're diving deeper into the numbers, I think it's important to kind of choose some key players from every era, right? To players that are of a similar mold so we can really create a comparison. So, you know, your 2003s and 2008s, we're talking about some of these as being our stars in terms of your Ronaldinhos and your Kakas and your Nedveds. They were probably at the forefront of, I think, a lot of imagination in world football. So if we herald them as this era before we get to obviously your Messi and Ronaldo era, and then of course then you start to transition into maybe your Eden Hazard, as Thierry just alluded to then, and of course we've entered the Lamine Yamal era of football.
Jeremy Doku is taking people on, but this is just dribble attempts, right? This is when you have the ball at your feet and you want to go one-on-one, try to take somebody on. Obviously, I think between the 2003 and 2008 and 2009 to 14, that's like I can mark the Guardiola junction point. And
right here,
right there. Okay. And it's created a lot of these players that were fun when what we feel at least was the golden era of football. A little bit of top quality talent, but beyond the attempts, what about the successful dribbles, the guys that really ran the show? So obviously it becomes more difficult in this Hazard era, as Thierry was alluding to. We got a lot of guys who are good. Neymar at dribbling. Obviously, Messi's in all of these eras, right? But since it's dropped down, 4+ successful dribbles per 90. That's something very difficult to achieve, and we got a stronger era in the years before 2021.
I think when you look at these eras and you kind of break them down, right, this would have been your David Beckham era. So you're talking about players that were making key passes. We then move on to your Ronaldinho, and of course, so many players would have had, I would say, important moments within this section, right? In terms of the game has changed though. And I think overall, when you look at the perspective of it, the freedom. Nico, who was your favorite player growing up? Who did you love? Who made you excited?
Yeah, Carlos Tevez, Riquelme. There was more freedom for them to be creative. And it feels like everybody has gotten stronger, faster, and the gap between the superstars and the rest of the pack has shortened. And here we're looking at 3+ key passes per 90. This is incredible. This is staggering, right? Who are the playmakers? Where are your Juan Román Riquelmes, your Figos? There's less and less of those superstars that I would say ran the show in earlier days. I guarantee you went back even more into the 90s. There wasn't this type of data available. My hunch is that those numbers would go even higher, because where were your Carlos Valderramas running the show, where it was one guy with top quality was the nucleus, was a very strong gravitational pull around his game.
You know what I'm hearing? The decline of the number 10. It's infamous that we have arguably one of the best number 10s of all time sitting on the graphic. But the decline of the number 10 is probably a conversation where we need to, I would say, explore a little bit deeper, because the number 10's role, and we've grown up in an era, is to do the dribbles, to commit players, to turn around and showcase in terms of those tight spaces what you can do in terms of key passes. And watching the decline of this kind of tells me that that's being weaseled out of football. Your Bruno Fernandes is probably someone that stands out today as definitive number 10, who wants to change the game instantly. But where are the rest of those players? Where are the rest of those magic players like we were so sport with in the 90s and turn of the 2000s?
Yeah, I mean, even in this era, the Zidans, the Kakás, and then later on the Neymars. I think Messi's in a category of his own. Whenever we mention Messi, I think it's just like, forget about it, because he's going to skew any type of numbers. But yes, perhaps it involves a role that is different, less athletic, a little bit more creative. And that's my thought about the number 10 and the decline, because it involves a guy perhaps taking a beat. And maybe in modern football, there isn't that type of beat, which is arguably something that I'm considering and I'm seeing less and less. You have the ball, and they're right on you. So let's take a look at the positions and how they have varied over the last couple of years. And we have a graph here from all of the successful, the dribble attempts, from the Champions League. Fullbacks the same. Midfielders are dribbling less. And I'm thinking of those attacking midfielders in a 10 role. They're taking less people on, or the 8s, they're taking less people on, more passes. And now it's the wingers that are creating a little bit more of that dribbling attempt. And I just think that's a remnant of the football that has changed and become into this modern style where you're looking for the wing play. We become a very wide type of game instead of the creativity in the midfielder, the Riquelmes, the Diego Maradonas, of course, category of its own, but the Pablo Aymars, thinking very Argentine here, but
you are.
But those are the players that I grew up that, to me, were magic. What Thierry and Gareth were talking about, edge of your seat. They just created wonders with the ball in the middle of the pitch.
I tell you what this opens up in terms of just my mindset when looking at it. Fullbacks has always been a consistent factor. I think that's going to change naturally with the development of new formations that are being used more in modern football. But when you see the increase from wingers, yes, we are definitely way more predominant. I think the early 2000s in terms of you saw the change of the formation of the 4-3-3 come into play. That is really isolating in terms of where wingers were. Shock, you're seeing the increase automatically then. Q, your Iron Robbins, and of course your Frank Ribery's who enter the fray and change the dynamics of football. But when I see the decline of midfielders, that seems like it's a tactical thing to me, Nico. That feels like that's the Pep Guardiola era. That feels like it's the Frank Rijkaard era, where we're dominating in terms of possession in the middle of the park. We're not really so much taking chances, because chances lead to transitions. But there are still the odd player in terms of that want to do both, that want to be in terms of a forward and an attacking midfielder, create touches in the right areas. And as a lone attacking midfielder in the Champions League, when you look at Van Aken, and this is something that we've both spoken about this year on our coverage, about how amazing he is in terms of for Club Brugge.
Hans van Aken is the only player in the last 5 seasons to have more than 10% of their team's total touches in Champions League. That's crazy, and it's kind of old school. It's that one guy that can make things happen, that still has that quality, crazy enough in the modern game where the football must go through him. Notable that this type of player still exists. So if you're reminiscing, romanticizing about the decline of the modern 10, that position that has perhaps become extinct, go to Belgium, baby, and maybe you'll find it in Hans van Aken.
What I will say is, just to close this off, because we want you guys involved in the comments, and of course, you know your opinion is as valid as ours in terms of overall for this conversation. Football has changed, but it does work in cycles. The same way we appreciated the Cruyff era from previous years, the Ferguson era, and obviously everything that's moved on afterwards means that there will be a new development. So don't give up on the number 10 yet, because there's still magic players out there. Your Lamine Yamal,
I agree.
your Zagovas, that make you get up on the edge of your seat automatically and say, oh, something magic's about to happen.
Yeah. I have a feeling, though, we are entering the Sean Dyche era of football.
Don't do that. Why would you do that?
The long throws, the set piece plays.
And on that one, we're going to end it right there. Make sure you get involved in the comments. Is this the Sean Dyche era? Is modern football becoming boring? And is this man to blame because he's such a maestro? You know what time it is. Numbers don't lie.
Hey, thanks for watching this video from Numbers Don't Lie. Be sure to catch our show every Monday at 5 p.m. on YouTube. And for news and insights from leagues all around the world, including Serie A, EFL, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.